Some rather shocking science fiction and fantasy news dropped yesterday that didn't make a lot of rounds. It's in my news outlet, Fandom Pulse, and we'll cover exactly what happened with Analog, Asimov's, and fantasy and science fiction magazines, which have had a lot of troubles over the last few years. You might have come to this channel over a talk on fantasy and science fiction and how that magazine's really circled the drain because of their diversity hire editor, and they've come out with, I think, one issue in a year and a half. Yikes. Well, they needed saving, and hopefully this investment group will do what it takes to make them great again. We'll see what happens, and we'll get into this, and I'll kind of tell you who these people are as far as my knowledge, and a little bit of rumors that's going on as well, and we'll get into the fantasy and science fiction publishing news, my friends. Hit the like and subscribe button as we talk about all things that are happening in the culture here, especially when it comes to literary stuff right here. I am a author by trade. That's what I do. And my science fiction series, The Arishan War, is really, really fun. You guys should get in on this right away. It starts with the stars entwined, and it's about a spy who embeds himself on an alien starship, trying to bring back information to humanity in the middle of a war. Things are blowing up. It gets huge in scope, and it's a wonderful space opera that you'll absolutely love. This is the classic stuff. If you're like into Babylon 5, that's really my inspiration for a lot of this. The Vorkosigan saga. I actually got compared to Lois McMaster Bujold and David Weber when I uploaded it into Grok, and I'm like, oh, cool. That's pretty cool. Thank you, Grok. So check it out. It's in the description below. I'm actually writing a trilogy that's spinning out of this in the same universe. That's going to be a space exploration thing. I love space. I love space opera, and this is a good spot to be if you're here. So hit the like and subscribe and grab this in the description below. It's also available on audiobook for those who like to read that way. Thank you. So for a long time now, there's been three major magazines in fantasy and science fiction, which are Asimov's, Analog, and Fantasy and Science Fiction. And there's a bunch of newer ones that kind of get some traction. They get a bunch of, the Hugo Awards or whatever, but they don't sell all that much. I'm talking like Clark's World and Uncanny Magazine, things like that. These are the ones that have been the staples that have been here for a long time. Of course, Amazing Stories, they tried to relaunch that, didn't quite go anywhere. I know that the guy, what's his name? There was another old press one that relaunched recently by Jonathan Mayberry, and I can't remember the name of it. That really didn't go anywhere because he bought the name and then just kind of published his friends. But these are the ones that are like the legitimate ones that are just like really it right there. An Analog of the three is really known for just not taking the identity of people into account and just actually publishing science fiction stories. They've actually done a pretty good job over there. While Asimov's is run by a diversity hire, has been causing problems for a while, and then fantasy and science fiction has been just an absolute train wreck ever since their last editor retired and this crazy woman got put in charge who's just a race grifter. So that's where they're at. All three of them have extremely struggled in the mid-2020s, though. They saw a little uptick in the pandemic, and then what happened was Amazon actually pulled subscriptions off of their website. And so they no longer could have subscriptions there, and because a lot of people subscribed on Amazon, they didn't even have an email list of the former customers or anything like that. They just got schlonged by the big company there. And Amazon's doing a lot of shady things lately. If you didn't watch my Kindle video a week ago, you should go check that out. They've just been a terrible business company. It's very unfortunate, but it is the only game in town as an author. I do have my own web store if you want to buy direct. Those are in the description below as well. But for the most part, these people do have their own web stores, and they don't really go anywhere. I actually checked the traffic of Analog and Asimov's yesterday. They're getting around like 5,000 clicks per month. That's it. This video will probably get more than that. So that's absolutely crazy, just how far the mighty have fallen. But they really haven't gotten with the times. They really don't know how to market. I checked their X accounts, and while they still post, they are not using the social media platform properly, so they're not growing and not getting any engagement, which is not helping them grow their fan bases. They really need some help, and maybe, I don't know if this investor group wants to reach out to me. I care about science fiction. I would be honored to help out, even as just a marketing person, if you need that. But, they probably won't because they're part of the establishment. Now, so this is kind of the layout of things. Their sales have collapsed as a result. They've not been doing well. Of course, fantasy and science fiction has not even been putting out magazines, so that doesn't help at all for sales. They're going to get forgotten if they don't fix things soon. And that's where we're at these days. So what happens is if you go to their ownership information, this has been added to the bottom of their website. And so it used to be 2024 penny publications for 2024, and 2025 one paragraph Inc. All rights reserved. So you see that it changed from 2024 to 2025. Must Read Magazines is a division of Must Read Books Publishing, a one-paragraph ink company. No part of Must Read Magazines or this website may be used to reproduce in any manner for the purpose of training or artificial intelligence technologies or systems. On top of this, they did buy a couple of mystery magazines as well. That's just not really my purview on the channel. So there are 5 magazines involved in this purchase, which is pretty interesting on this level. Now, this is a huge shakeup. So the further look into ownership here, it's owned by a group of investors headed by this guy right here, Stephen Saltpeter, president of literary and IP development at Assemble Media. As you can see, he's looking for new authors of commercially minded fiction, literary fiction, broad audience, short story collections, magical realism, romantic comedies, love stories, grounded science fiction, fantasy. So basically every subgenre. We'll stop there. He seems to be, a guy in his 30s or something like that who's done pretty well in New York publishing. The company is based out of St. Petersburg, Florida, and that's pretty interesting on that level. And it's spurred a lot of discussion already in the woke circles. They're like, Florida? I don't like Florida. It's like everything is a like dog whistle signal of politics to these people, which is like, come on, just shut up. Let people have some fun science fiction for once in your lives. And that's been the problem. I mean, if you look at a lot of what's been published in short fiction, science fiction, especially what wins the Hugo Awards, it's all politically driven at this point. These people who are in the little insular networks focus so heavy on politics and identity politics, on DEI, on all this stuff, that they've really killed the genre off on like a level we never could have seen. Remember, these magazines used to sell in the millions. This was American culture. This is the top and peak of American culture back in the 1940s and 1950s. But hey, not anymore. Now it's a handful of people that are authors writing for authors, so they can get their golf claps for how diverse and neurodivergent they are, or whatever the term is of the day. And that's what's happened to all of these magazines. Like I said, Analog a little less. Analog's the only one out there that actually does publish like known Republicans / libertarians. The other one's completely blacklist, which is pretty interesting. But it needs to change. It needs to go back to merit again, and that's what's happening in America 2025. And I'm hoping that this is going to be based on merit, that these people are doing this. They are a group of science fiction lovers who bought this. They're just friends who like the genre, and they did it just for that. So it's seeming to do this just for the purpose of making science fiction go again, which is fantastic. So I went through Stephen Saltpeter's media and all that. He mostly stays professional on topic about stuff, or posts about his personal stuff on his Instagram. He's not like a big political ideologue that's going out there, which is great. And so I think we definitely need more of that in science fiction. It's fantastic. Now, he hasn't posted to X since the election. Ooh, I don't know what that means. He's from New York. He's probably a liberal guy. Who knows? But it doesn't matter. And that's the thing. And that's where these litmus testers who are looking for the signal, they're looking for a reason to cancel him for buying these esteemed properties from these, they kind of want things to fail. That's kind of what woke culture is, right? They like things failing and being miserable. Everybody's equal together in their misery. So that's who he is. Now, there's another rumor going on that because this is in St. Petersburg, Florida, which is very, very close to Clearwater, Florida, that there's Scientology involved here. Now, Scientology actually runs the Writers of the Future competition, which does a lot of short fiction stuff for science fiction. There could very well be crossover investors in this, which would make a lot of sense. And so, believe it or not, Scientology is a huge force in the background of science fiction and fantasy publishing. Pretty interesting stuff on that. It's a rabbit hole you can go into yourself if you want to look at it. Now, John Scalzi, of course, was one of the first to comment on this. He said, aside from anything else, an interesting question, what will this mean for the Astounding Award? Of course, all these people care about is their little awards, because, they don't sell books. They're just about, oh, I'm an award-winning this. And that's kind of their whole bio, right? And so all they care about is making sure these awards out there. The owner of Asimov's Analog, I presume Dell will relinquish sponsorship of the reward. I wonder if the new publisher will continue it. Sheila Williams, who is the editor of Asimov's, says, "Hi, John. Just want to reiterate our new owners plan to continue to support all the various awards formerly backed by Dell Magazine. We are very grateful for your continued support and love that you're determined to help keep Analog's legacy going." So there you go. Glad about that. So I guess that's it. We don't know a ton about this group, but we have reason to be optimistic. I mean, these are investors. It's an investment group. They do have literary backgrounds. They are science fiction fans, and we know that. And that can only be a good thing because these magazines have been so far in the toilet. What can happen at this point? Now, what they need to do is get rid of Sheila there. She's doing a terrible job and has for years. She's actually sunk that magazine's prestige. They need to get rid of the editor of Fantasy and Science Fiction, whose name I can't even remember at this point. Fantasy and Science Fiction. Let's see if we can pull this up and do this live on the air so you can see this. So here it is. It is this DEI lady right here, Sheree Renee Thomas, and her entire thing is race grifting. That's it. But you can see the trajectory of these three publications right here and just how far they sank. And of course, 2020 through 2023 have been the lowest possible, under 10,000 readers each. I mean, if I've had more people buy the Stars Entwined myself, and so that's kind of where it is at this juncture. Interesting stuff. I hope they recover. I wish them the best, and I have reached out to Stephen Salpeter for an interview. I don't know if he will or if he's going to play the game. I mean, who knows at this point, but we are one of the biggest science fiction and fantasy influencers out there. So they should start hanging around here if they want to sell some books, I'd think. Leave a comment down below. Do you think that they can save these magazines? Hit the like and subscribe button. We'll be back soon, and make sure to check out the Stars Entwined, my friends.